Hello everyone, Leonardo Cornejo here with another video, and today we want to talk about something funny I noticed about writing. As you know, I'm a novelist. That's my job, that's what I do for a living, that's what I like to do for a living. There is something funny about the way woke writers work and about how their audience reacts to them. Mm, they always defend them, but they always end up turning their back on them. And that's why I'm going to talk about today, because I have been reflecting on a specific situation about that. And that's the end of Legend of Korra, in which the main character this ends up with a girl who originally hated her. They hated each other because they were part of a stupid love triangle, a poorly made love triangle written by the authors, thinking, "Oh, let's turn the great story of Avatar into a fucking YA story." mm, and well, I have reached the conclusion that it was it was all for the sake of pleasing their stupid, incompetent audience. They were pandering to the YA crowd, thinking they would be appreciated by them, but they didn't even know they were not really their audience. All these shippers, they were not really their audience, and they made the ship canon, even though it kinda sucked. I mean, it had originally no context, and they had to push for it in just like 1 or 2 seasons, and in the end, it was awful because of that. It felt forced. Everyone was like, "Oh, representation, oh, inclusion," and clapping and all that, but I always noticed it made no sense because they hated each other for 2 whole seasons. They actually sabotaged each other during a whole season, and there was really no relationship development during the third season, and in the fourth it was like let's make them friends out of nowhere and let's make them closer, but there was really no development in the relationship nor any implication of it. And of course, I pointed at it. It was about, what, 5 years ago? No, more. 6 years? 2014, 13? I don't remember the exact number. But I pointed at it. I was like, dude, this is rushed. This had no context, no origin. And out of nowhere, they made it canon. And you can tell it is for political reasons. You can tell it is to please the shippers. You can tell it is not for a good reason. The funny part is everyone is like, you're a fucking homophobe, you fucking hate lesbians and all that shit, which is not true. You are fucking hateful, you are evil, you are stupid, you don't respect the creators and all that stuff. But I was right. Because now, well, ever since 2018, so yeah, basically after about 5 years or more of the incident, ever since 2018, I have seen many people saying, "Oh, that ship was forced. Oh, it was just pandering to the LGBT crowd." And even people from who once defended it, taking their words back. I literally lost friends because I didn't support the ship. I got banned from fan groups because I didn't support the ship. I was basically labeled a monster for not supporting it. And it's in just a few years, about 5 years of the ship being there. Everyone hated it. I was right. I was right. It was rushed. It was forced. There was no context. The characters rarely interacted with each other. I was right. But oh man, they hated me for saying it. They were angry because I said it. They said, "Oh, you're a fucking homophobe. You're a bigot. You're evil." For saying the ship had no purpose. That ending had no development. There was no relationship development before that. Basically, it was insta love, but instead of at the beginning of the story, it was at the end, which is funny because basically that's what make Korra a horrible avatar. That's why she sucks. Because she starts with the insta love and ends with insta love. It's the circle of stupidity. She starts with Instalove, with Mako, and then goes to Instalove with Asami. And it sucked. And in fact, the whole shipping in Legend of Korra sucked because Korra is a horrible person. Because she was basically emotionally manipulating and abusing everyone. She goes on a date with Bolin, and shortly after, kisses Mako, who is already in a relationship with Asami, and Mako is the bad guy? He's to blame? Dude, she's a bitch. She's a fucking idiot. Mako didn't even ask her out or anything, no, she kissed him. And then started pushing and pushing and pushing to make him break up with Asami and start going out with him. And when she succeeds, she breaks up with him because he's too busy working, because he's trying to follow the law now that he's a cop, and she's breaking the law, and she's abusing her power. A fucking idiot. Starts dating someone who is extremely incompatible with her and then blames him for it. And that's why when they break up, and yeah, Mako is not entirely flawless, and in fact, they frame it in a way that you won't like him. I detested him for 2 whole seasons, and then in the third season he starts to mature because he's framed in a way that you won't like him because he acts immaturely. Because instead of saying no, Korra, stop, I already have a girlfriend. Bolin is in love with you. You are wrong. This is wrong, and you shouldn't do that, especially not in front of my brother. And you are a bitch because you are treating my brother like shit. Instead of being the right-minded guy in that case, instead of doing what is right, what he ended up doing anyway, basically, he lets her act the way she wants. He complies with her. He follows her like an idiot, and that's the result. And he always ends up in conflict with her. And when she has amnesia, he pretends nothing happens to stay with her. I mean, he was also a terrible boyfriend. He was a fucking idiot too. But he wasn't an ill-intentioned idiot. Korra sucked. And the whole relationship development of her and Asami revolved around both of them basically talking shit about Mako, basically saying Mako is a fucking idiot, and that's why we broke up with him, and and it was all Korra's fault because she was the one who started it. Mako was happy with Asami. Why couldn't Korra just go for Bolin? Bolin deserved it. He was a really nice person, and he wasn't just being nice to be with her. No, he was a really nice person. From the first moment you meet them, he's a really nice person, and he actually tries to get Korra into the team, even though Mako didn't like her. At first, Mako didn't even want her in the team. Bolin was the one trying to get her in because, well, of course, he liked her, but also because he saw potential in that. And she was fucking ungrateful. He even invited her to a really nice meal, which she loved, and there was some chemistry between them. And for some reason, I don't know why the writers decided, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. They get along, they like each other. Fuck that shit. Let's put her in a toxic relationship with someone entirely incompatible, so then they can break up and blame each other. Fuck that shit, seriously. I mean, it was badly written. And with that finale, and the defense it got, We saw it clearly. The spark Avatar had was gone. There was no more spark. Because they were so focused on pandering to the YA crowd, I don't even think the LGBT community at all was to blame. I blame the YA crowd. Because it started with Instalove and then ended with Instalove, which is a YA thing. It started with with a toxic relationship, a love triangle. It was all YA. Only the only thing that was for the LGBT people was the end, the whole Korasami ship and all that crap. And I don't even think it was to blame. They were to blame. They did it at the right moment to earn brownie points with the LGBT crowd. That's true. They did it at the right moment to earn brownie points with them. And in fact, they were not the only ones. Because many cartoon shows did the same, and it is always at the end at the end of the series. So that they can't get the show cancelled by doing it. They can do it halfway. They can't prove it halfway. They can't even develop it the ship halfway. Because if they show any sign, and they are cowards by doing this. If they show any sign of a same-sex relationship before the finale, before the last season, before the last season gets renewed, before the plan of ending it, if they reveal it too soon, the show gets cancelled because corporations don't like that. Realistically speaking, they want to hide it. That's the same reason why Star Versus had the horrible ship at the end, even though it was not a gay ship, but that's why it had a horrible ship by the end, because they didn't want the shippers angry. That's why they put the lesbian ship at the end of Adventure Time, because they don't want the, let's face it, the corporate discriminatory groups and cultures angry, because they keep it small so they can cut it for the Chinese version, no joke. In fact, Magic the Gathering had a similar controversy because Wizards of the Coast wrote Chandra as bisexual, and she was dating Nisa. Horrible idea, by the way, in general, the whole relationship thing. I mean, they didn't need it. Yeah, the relationship between Jace and and Liliana made some sense, but it was bordering on YA, and the rest became pure YA bait material, and it sucked. And that's the thing, Chandra was dating Nisa until Wizards of the Coast wanted to do business in China, and they had to retcon it, saying it was like momentary madness, and Chandra actually liked buff guys like Gideon. It is always like that. And that's the same with this situation. They were pandering to the YA crowd. They were pandering to the shippers. They took the advantage of gaining brownie points with the LGBT community and the toxic side of the LGBT community, not the people who just want to be free. No. Those, the activists. They wanted the brownie points with the activists, and they wanted to have their cake and eat it. They wanted to keep everyone pleased. And back then I noticed, and I told everyone, and I was a fucking bigot, and I was evil. I got banned from places, I lost friends, as I said. And now even the people who said I was wrong admit it. The ship was a failure. Don't pander to shippers. Don't rush relationships that way. If you want a relationship in your story, make sure it is planned from the start. Make sure there is at least enough development. I don't know, they start living together or something, even if it happens in the background, even if it happens outside of the audience scope. Make sure it makes sense, and make sure it blooms from something, some sort of commonality, and not just being angry at the same ex. That sucked. That part especially sucked. Well, that's it for today. Leonardo Cornejo signing out, and have a great day. Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avalanche series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy world-building protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.